Terminator 2 Judgment Day, often branded as T2 Judgment Day. And this one was released on July 3rd, 1991, and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, and Robert Patrick. I didn't put him on there, but Robert Patrick is the villain.
Robert
of this
Patrick's
movie.
a pretty big character in it.
He is. He's very important. I had a hell of a time trying to make a synopsis for this, but I got one.
Okay.
And you'll have to let me know what you think. A cyborg, identical to the one who failed to kill Sarah Connor in 1984, must now protect her son John from an even more advanced and powerful cyborg. I didn't include any time travel mentions or anything like that. The more detail I tried to include, the more difficult it became to like make it succinct and stuff. Like it was just not. I'm like, well, I don't really want to go off on a tangent about how, in 1997 there's this like nuclear holocaust basically or something, like this machines take over.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what the movie is. I mean, regardless of why or what they're trying to change in terms of the future and all that. I mean, that's what's happening, right? You've got
Right.
one cyborg trying to protect this kid from getting killed by this other cyborg.
And so, like, I mean, I touched on it a little bit in that synopsis, but, like, okay, Terminator, the first one, came out in 1984, and it was, to me, more of a sci-fi horror movie. Mm-hmm. It was a lot more terrifying to me. Like, this movie has its scary elements, obviously, because it's still this very intimidating villain that is, like, indestructible and all this stuff. But it was like the tone of the first one was so much darker and so much more horror-like to me. And basically, like, it sounds like a lot of, like, when James Cameron was writing the first one, a lot of what this movie came to be had to be scrapped in 1984 because they couldn't put it in the first movie because they couldn't make this, like, liquid metal robot. They didn't have the effects to make that happen.
So I didn't know that. So the first one, he initially was trying to make this movie, essentially?
Yeah, like elements of this movie. That was going to be a thing, was like, it was going to be... It's not very clear exactly what the story would have been, but it would have included this T-1000 liquid thing, and basically the more he wrote it, he's like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this on screen in 1984. I love the first movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, but I always get into the discussion with people that are like, well, the second one's way better than the first one. It's better. I'm like, it is, I would say, almost objectively better. Like, there's almost...
I would. I don't think that's a knock on the first one, but...
No, it's not. But
as we'll get into, this movie is one of my absolute all-time favorite movies.
Absolutely.
And objectively, I think it might be the greatest action movie ever made.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's kind of... I always kind of have the argument of, like, okay, I will concede without question that T2 is better,
Yeah.
but I will also point out that the first movie is a completely different movie. It's strange that it's a James Cameron for both of these movies because, like, Alien from the 70s was basically a horror movie, and then when James Cameron took it over for Aliens in 86, it became more of an action movie and less of a horror movie, and I just find that, like, fucking crazy, but it's fucking great. It sounds like you watched this movie a ton as a kid. I mean,
I've seen this movie so many times. Spoiler alert, I'm going to rate this one real high. but one thing that I found I was doing with these movies, more so than past lists that we've done, is wondering, like, is this movie as good as I remember it or as bad as I remember it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in just about every situation, I think, on our list, it was either better or, like, even better or even worse than I remember.
Yes.
So, and this one, like, it holds up so well.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's practical effects or even the liquid thing, when you and consider it was 1991, but it still looks pretty good.
It does. It does. Like, I mean,
really
I would
does.
say if this movie came out, you might think it wasn't, maybe not as polished with the effects, but it's still, they're fucking amazing. Like, they did a really good job. It achieves
what it's supposed to achieve,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And right off the bat, right, there's this gripping and appealing cold open. It's like 30-second recap of how we got here.
Right.
And that launches into that in my opinion, one of the most amazing theme songs, or the theme music, the ba bum bum bum.
Yeah.
It's like it's so simple. It's on like that Jaws level of simple but effective. Like it's perfect. And then throughout the rest of the movie, the pacing is just perfect. Right, like it's there's always a sense of tension. When they're introducing the characters, you get everything you need in a pretty quick little package, right? And then they're off to the races. There's, from the first time that you see the two Terminators, like, and Edward Furlong all come together at the same time, and theoretically you're really not quite supposed to know which one is bad and which one is good, or if they're both bad or whatever. And suddenly, he says, get down. He shoots the, Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick is firing back, and he's using himself as like not a human shield, but like a cyborg shield, using his body. That launches into the motorcycle chase. It just keeps going. And the tension is always where it needs to be. The bad Terminator is always the source of that tension. It never slows down. Or, I mean, even when it slows down, it's like purposeful and intentional, and kind of setting up for the next, romp. And
I would almost argue it needs a little, like, the same way with the first one. It needs like a little bit of a lull in the middle, just because you've built the tension so well. It would almost be problematic to just have it be this like constant, never-ending movie, because it's like it does need to have like a little bit of a let up.
There's like a slight reset for the next act, when they're down getting the guns from her buddy at the trailer park or whatever, wherever they are out in the desert. It's like setting up for the next act, where they then go to try and find the chip and the scientist and whatever. That'll take me to the only thing that like always kind of stuck in my head was like, so there's just like one guy that if they get rid of him, nobody else knows what's going on. These things it's a major corporation, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole team of these scientists.
And I will say, that's one of the few things, like, I think it's partly because of like how much I love this movie, and so many people do seem to love it. It's so good that you just instinctively ignore some of the logical fallacies of the things like with the time travel and things like that. Like if you start to like pick it apart in that way, it gets messy.
You cannot touch the time travel thing, because if you spiral into the time travel paradox, of if they kill Edward Furlong, then there was nobody that they had to go back to kill in the first place, so therefore they didn't. You immediately get into that paradox. So just shut that out and enjoy the movie for what it is, which is why I like your synopsis of not really even touching on that. The point is, there's a bad guy robot that's trying to kill this kid, and a good guy robot has to protect him. And his mom is Linda Hamilton, who is both nuts and a total badass.
Yes, absolutely she is. And I mean, rightfully so. I think she would be a little nuts after, like, she was a very well-adjusted, normal, like, waitress in the first movie before everything happened.
Right.
You find out that a cyborg has come from the future to murder you so that you won't have a child that will become the leader of the resistance against the cyborgs. You're probably going to seem like you're a little nutty after that. Like you're just going to have this trauma that's just undeniable.
Right. And nobody believes you,
Right. And
you keep screaming, we're all going to die.
Well, so, okay. When I first saw this movie, I was a little bit older. I say a little bit older, but I was 10. I was 10 when I saw this movie, and my friend Brad was really into these movies, and I had never seen them. So he had me watch the first two movies with him, and that was all there was at the time. And he had me watch it within like a day or two of August 29th, 1997. So it was like, I never found out from him if he like did that or if it was like a happy accident.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it added such a level of terror for me as a child. It was like, holy fuck, this is really happening soon. Like, this is coming. And it's, oh my God.
We only have a week. You're already dead.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah. And I mean, it's like the whole thing is just insane to me. Like, it's just the fact that he did it. And it was, I found them, I found these movies, they were just the right level of scary for me as a kid that I could handle watching them and not freak out like I would with some horror movies. But like, these movies, they had you on the edge of your seat the whole fucking time. It was just fantastic.
Yeah. And more just like gushing about this movie and why I would make the case for it being not only, the best sequel or action sequel of all time, but possibly the best action movie of all time. The cast is perfect. Every single person in this movie is cast absolutely perfect. From Linda Hamilton to Robert Patrick with his super, like, just stoic look and the way he runs and he's looking out like the top of his eyes, that classic thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. Edward Furlong I think he plays the kind of rebel lost kid perfectly.
Right.
Really?
Yes.
He has the early 90s floppy hair curtains going on.
Yes.
He's the classic little moments that came from it. Like in a pre-internet, pre-meme world, you have I'll Be Back. Like I mentioned, Robert Patrick's look. That look when he's running. That was like spoofed in Wayne's World 2 and everything by Robert Patrick.
Yes. Right.
When Arnold Schwarzenegger is riding the motorcycle with Edward Furlong on it, the way that he twirls the shotgun to cock it, that was so cool at the time.
It was.
It's
still pretty cool. But
Hasta La Vista, baby. Yeah. Like, it's just over and over these like super, super memorable moments that just keep delivering that you still remember to this day.
Exactly. It's fantastic. Obviously, you have this element of this shape-shifting cyborg that is liquid metal. He can look like anything that's like similar to his size, basically. And that's like the huge cool thing. But he also can like turn his arms and stuff into weapons. Yeah. There's a scene where he goes to John's foster parents' house and he's transformed into the mom, and it's just more for the audience to like see him. He wouldn't have had to do that, but like you hear this noise and it's off camera and it's just this like thud.
Yep.
And you're like, what the fuck was that? And they like pan out and you see that his arm has transformed into like this long spear basically, and like impaled through the back of the foster dad's head. And like it's
through
holding
the carton of milk.
It's oh my god, I love it. It's moments like that are like throughout this movie that are so memorable. I will remember that for the rest of my life. I will never forget. Speaking of that though, there is one particularly traumatic, memorable moment, which is where during that like slower spot in the movie where they go out into the desert and they're meeting with Sarah's friends, and she kind of like drifts off into like a daydream, and she like goes over by this playground and she's looking through the chain link fence, and all of a sudden, wouldn't you know it, nuclear war hits in that very moment, and she is grabbing on, and she immediately like turns to a skeleton, and it is this like huge shockwave of this nuclear blast. It is legitimately horrifying. It is like, I mean, holy shit. It was so well done, but it's like, oh my god, like that was a lot. You know what I mean? It's a lot to take in. So one thing I will say, and maybe I'll cut this comment out after the fact, but like, okay, am I a monster for the fact that I had assumed for quite a long time that Edward Furlong had like died of an overdose? Like
I thought he had too, actually. I looked it up. I was like, when did he die?
Right.
And he's still alive.
He's still around. Yeah. And he was in American History X.
He's still doing stuff.
Yeah, right.
He's active. I don't know why I thought that. I must have got him confused, maybe because I just watched Indiana Jones and River Phoenix died, and he also had the floppy hair curtains in the early 90s, maybe I was getting the wires crossed or something, but for some reason I also, watching it, could have sworn that he had OD'd or died of cancer even or something.
Yeah.
Like in the early 2000s or something. I don't know why I thought that.
He has a bit of a look about him that it's just kind of like, if somebody said he died of an overdose, I wouldn't be like, oh, get out of here. There's no way that guy died of an overdose. It's kind of that appearance that he has. He's like this rebellious kid on top of that as a character. it wouldn't be that far-fetched in my mind.
Speaking of other rabble-rousers of the era, teenage rabble-rousers, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Budnick from Salute Your Shorts.
Oh, God.
The
okay.
red-haired kid that's like his buddy at the arcade.
Yes.
Whenever I see this movie, I always like get amped when I see that kid.
Yes.
I remember that show, Salute Your Shorts, and
God.
Budnick. And I'm like, it's Budnick.
And I love that he instinctively lies to a police officer. Like, the cop asks him if he's seen John Connor, and he's just,
he lies to him twice. Because once he realizes that he's been found out, he stops him again and tries to yell, that kid you were looking for, he went that way.
Yeah, right.
To try and throw him off, but he didn't work. And I actually looked him up, too. He's done tons of voice acting in the last 20, 30 years. He does voice acting in cartoons all over the place. So he's actually still really active, too.
One bit of trivia that I found really fascinating about this movie is that Robert Patrick trained really hardcore for this role, controlling his breathing, so he didn't. He had more of an appearance of this inhuman thing, you know. It was just like, and so the scene where John is fleeing on, like, what is it, a dirt bike or a motorcycle of some sort. Robert Patrick is chasing him down. He had so honed his running skills and his breathing ability that they had to make Robert Patrick like restrain his speed. Like, they told him, they did a couple of shots, he kept catching up to a fucking motorcycle.
No way.
Yes. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
dedication.
but I mean, it's very dedicated. It's crazy because this whole movie, you see him, he goes through the prison bars at the psych ward, and it's a very gripping scene where it's just like, he walks up and it's like John and Arnold know that he's the Terminator, and Sarah doesn't know, and he just walks up to this and he just passes through it and molds around the bars and like comes to the other side. Fucking amazing. Like, so just good. Oh my god.
And her reaction when she sees Arnold for the first time, the horror and terror, because she doesn't know that he's a good guy now, and like you feel it. Like, you feel it. Oh yeah. Speaking of over preparation or over dedication to the movie, Linda Hamilton also, I read a couple of things online about, apparently she's like borderline method actor and how into it she got, especially like those hospital scenes. Apparently she, when she attacks that orderly or whatever, when she hits him with the broom handle.
Oh god, the one that like licks her face or whatever.
Yeah, which that's one part that I still don't entirely understand what's going on there. When she hits that guy, apparently she actually hit him and broke his nose, and that's his actual blood that's flying across the screen. They only did one take because she biffed him so hard. Like, she swung harder than she was supposed to, I guess. And so, like, when he goes to dodge, and then they're gonna put, in post-production, like the punchy noise, it was like, no, she actually blasted him. Right.
No, we got it. No worries.
We got it.
Yeah.
The only other bit of trivia that I had for this, another thing I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, if you're familiar with Penny the Bridge, the Pennsylvania Avenue Bridge in Lansing, Michigan, makes a cameo all the way out there in L.A. when Robert Patrick is chasing Edward Furlong on the motorcycle, and he's driving the big truck, and he goes under the bridge, and it peels the top of the truck off.
Yes. It's
Penny the Bridge made a cameo there, doing her thing.
For those of you that don't know, there's a Pennsylvania or is it Avenue? I can't remember.
Yeah, Pennsylvania Avenue in Lansing, Michigan.
In Lansing, Michigan, there is this very low, I think it's like a 12-foot bridge.
Yeah.
And it is constantly getting hit by these trucks that like don't take heed of the clearance warnings ahead of approaching it. So like it'll be like a moving truck and they will just like crash into this bridge because it's so low. And like recently, they even put like teeth on it and things like that. I don't know how long.
Googly eyes,
yeah. And so
there's like a count since they started keeping track in the 90s or something of how many trucks it's eaten. Right. And I think it's been there for almost 100 years now, and it's been hit by so many semis, and it's like, it's doing all right.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that bad.
I don't know how it's possible.
It's a strong, strong bridge. I think recently somebody even added it to Google Maps as like a Lansing cultural historic landmark or something.
Yes.
Penny the Bridge. Anyway, I digress. So wrapping this one up, we're kind of gushing about it as an action movie, but I want to gush about it as a sequel for a second, because to me it seems like the perfect scaling of a sequel, right? The stakes are a little higher. Both the hero and the villain are a little bit elevated, much so in the villain. The only new characters they introduce are relevant and necessary, being Robert Patrick and the scientist, really, and Edward Furlong are really the only.
Yeah, right.
There isn't like 15 new people that are involved. The only new characters are relevant. The added scope is relevant and a bit elevated. The amazing twist on it, where the T-100 is now a good guy, right?
Yeah. That
theoretically you're not supposed to see coming, even though I just saw something recently where they actually spoiled that in the trailers.
They did, yeah. I was just going to say that.
But otherwise, like, you wouldn't have known, and certainly if you look at it through Linda Hamilton's character's eyes, as we mentioned, like, she doesn't know in that moment is, like, really gripping. So, like, everything is elevated and moved up in, like, this perfect degree that I think a sequel should be. Too often the sequel is mailed in, as we'll get to a couple of those coming up next.
Yeah.
And this one was not. Like, this one is, in my opinion, it's possibly the best action movie ever. Certainly the best action sequel of all time. No surprise here. I give this movie an S. It's in my top 5 of all time. I love it.
Absolutely. I am no surprise in the same exact boat. I could not, in my mind, it was a foregone conclusion, very little forethought or evaluation. I'm like, well, T2 is going to be S. It's got to be an S. I mean, there's no way I could give it anything less, because, I mean, like it's
the standard bearer.
Like, it is because, like, for instance, The Dark Knight, I consider that a very good sequel, and it's a great movie by itself. You don't really need to know the first movie. But, like, even with me being as much of a Batman fan, I'm like, I don't even think, like, I would probably put them both at an S tier, but I would still put the T2 higher than The Dark Knight, because it's so well crafted.
It's like
it is
the perfect
so
movie.
Well done. It is. The suspense is unending. You never get comfortable with any situation, because they are always on the run, or, you know, trying to get away.
The human elements, you know, again, when Linda Hamilton freaks out and sees him, or when Edward Furlong is, like, crying at the end, like, even those don't seem over the top and out of place. Like, get over it. Like, we're here to see robots fight, you know. Even those all fit, you know. Everything fits perfect.
Oh, yeah.
So I love it.
100%. Oh, yeah. Fucking great movie.
You could gush all day about it.
I mean, absolutely. If the Terminator movies are definitely, I don't know. I don't like to do, you know, I don't like to say, top 5, but I mean, T2, without question, top 5 for me. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
That's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Obviously, a spectacular action sequel.
So for the next one, Brandon, why don't you lead us up to the cliff as we dive off into the abyss?
Oh, God.